again. Envy coming in with the dive.
Maniton raining rockets in onto the point.
LA Valiant getting their attack run going.
But there are so many kills coming in here for Florida Mayhem.
Ooh, snipe fever.
Logix, he's relentless.
He's so brave. Kareem snipes it out of the air.
And they are making progress, Florida.
That's what I like to see, man. That was an incredible run from LA Valiant.
You guys aren't going to bring the fight to me. Well, I'm going to go to you, and you aren't going to like it.
We're back, baby. Welcome back for match number 2. It's week 3, day 4, the final day of our regular season action this week. And already we've seen some amazing matches. Today, though, it went to a game 5 as we saw the Boston Uprising win another massive control map. And joining me on the desk to talk about it all, we got Bren, we've got Crumbs, and Zoe's back with us.
Yeah, what a way to kick off the day today. Wow, saying day like 3 times. I'm really good at this talking thing. However, I have some news for you guys. As we talked about the Dallas looking so improved and making those adjustments and changes, we have another change coming your way potentially, because if the negotiations are going well, we're gonna see AKM joining the Dallas Fuel. And I think many people out there are gonna be very excited, mainly of course AKM, because he's been tweeting a lot about Overwatch League as of late. And I'm so happy to finally see this guy being picked up. It was only a matter of time.
Can't wait to see AKM in action and get paid, son. Hastro's got the money. Let's take a look at the full schedule for the day. We talked about it earlier. It was Boston up over the Dallas Fuel, but we close out our day here on Saturday for the Los Angeles Valiant versus the Florida Mayhem and our other hometown squad, the LA Gladiators, going up against the Houston Outlaws. Blizzard Arena, you guys are sleeping. Are you excited for these final matches? That's what I like to hear. It's time to keep this party going as we welcome our third team to the stage. Give it up for the LA Valiant. The tanks leading the charge, and Spade is going to be the first one to the stage today. The Valiant enter the match with a 3-2 record, coming off the massive reverse sweep of the rivals, the Gladiators.
Yeah, they were experimenting a little bit when they prepared for this week's matches, which resulted in them putting Unco on the Mercy and Kareem on Sen. This worked out great during their scrims, not so well against the Gladiators. So after halftime, we saw them back onto their normal heroes, and they came back into the game and looked stronger than ever.
Yeah, this team has been quite vocal about having to make mid-game adaptations a little bit faster. We saw that happen last time they played. However, they still need to speed things up a bit more, because in their last 2 games, they started 0-2 every single time.
Yeah, I tell you what, Crumbs, the guy I'm paying attention to this match is that guy who's just gone past your screens there, but soon on the Tracer. That's the man who everyone needs to keep their eye on, who's going to be performing very, very well indeed, because this guy, he has the potential to just upset games with his sheer presence. The backcaps, you know, just being a nuisance in the backlines, the pulse bombs, the kills, he's got it all. It's everything you need in a DPS player.
Soon's probably the most consistent player we've seen on this lineup so far, but I love watching Agility's back in the mix. They have that second DPS role split between Silk Thread and Agilities. Last time, Agilities went off for us on the main stage. That's a look at the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Valiant. Now it's time, though, to find out who they'll be playing against. Give it up for our 4th team on the day. It's the Florida Mayhem. What is the intro they're going to be bringing out today? Not carrying Zuppe here today, Crumbs. Nothing new. Oh, there it is. Reaching deep for it. The coordination, phenomenal. Will we see it in game though today? That's the question, because currently this squad is coming in with a 1-4 record and recently fell at the hands of the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about the lack of cohesion in week 2, in week 1. In week 2, however, they looked much improved, not just in their walkouts, but also in game. Now, I talked about their roster size to their coach, as we have been mentioning a lot that this might be a downside for them, coming in with only 6 players. However, he actually pointed me into an interesting direction, saying that, you know, if you have a shorter roster, it's easier to all pull into the same direction. It's so much easier to keep everyone happy, and it's so much easier to actually communicate with each other. And I think he has a very good point there.
You can maximize practice time as well. Bren, who's the player to watch though today? Let's get right into it.
Once again, you know, I seem to have a thing for the Tracer players, you know, not just because she's a British character, but also because they are the highlights of these games. The Tracer players are the ones who are creating the plays, and Logix, that's the man I want to see turning up. If Florida want to be winning this, Logix has got to be popping off and hitting those pulse bombs and taking names.
But I don't think he can do it alone. I think he's going to have to do it synergizing with Tvik here. here because the Tracer, when you're dealing with the backline that can protect itself, you're going to need a two-pronged attack. And on the first week, the Mayhem actually pulled that off so well between Tvik and Logix. And if they can recapture that double DPS energy, attacking the backline once again, I think they'll be able to have some better success than in their previous games.
4 Swedes, a Finn, and a Belgian. That makes up the Florida Mayhem. Today, they're looking for some big wins. And if Florida is going to walk away with the victory, Brent, I want you to walk us through the keys to victory.
Yeah, absolutely. So Florida, the things that I feel like they need to focus on here is going to be Logix versus Soon. This is the first one. Most important, Logix needs to try and shut down Soon as much as possible because I mentioned it in the walkout. Soon is an absolute nuisance. If you can minimize the amount of impact he's having on the game, you can have a much better chance. And also, the tightening up the tank and support play as well. That's most important for me. Swoosh and Manhattan, if they can start to work together a little bit better at protecting their supports, they're going to have a much better time in this matchup.
Yeah, and we all know that each player of that team has the individual skill. They're all incredible good players. However, what has been lacking a little bit as a team so far has been a defense strategy. I think so far they played a little bit linear and were easier to read than some other teams we have in this league. So I think they have to come up with some different strats.
And Florida's had time to prepare, but they're going up against a very tough Valiant squad. This team is currently 3-2. A win today would put them into the top 4. What is their key to success?
So for me, the Valiant needs to shore up their early stages in these maps, avoid the slow start as you see, and they've been playing so much overtime moves that it just is a problem that stems from their early in every single time. I feel like this team needs to warm up on stage every single time, and that's not going to be a positive trait to have moving forward inside the league. So I think in these matches, if they take that forward and make sure that they're warmed up when they come into the game and understand their game plan and execute it as soon as they get it, they'll be gold.
So is Crumbs officially worried for the Valiant in our first 2 games?
Yeah, the first 2 games, absolutely. They're
In
down
the series?
0-2 every single time, not the series.
Not the series, though. Crumbs is calling for another Game 5, potentially. We'll see how this one plays out. Enough from us at the desk. It's time to give it over to our casters. Make some noise for Monty and Doa.
Thank you, Puckett. I am pumped about LA Valiant versus Florida Mayhem. A lot to look forward to with this one. And, you know, Valiant really kind of stepping it up on Wednesday, having that insane series against Gladiators. So excited to see them play again. And Florida, you know, they may not have great results this year yet, but they have been fun to watch.
Yeah, and actually we do have the signing window has been open, so
True.
teams are able to sign players right now that can start at the beginning of the second stage. So I assume, in addition to what Zoe was talking about on the desk with AKM potentially being picked up by the Dallas Fuel, that we'll see some more additions to many of these rosters as they start to shore up their deficiencies.
Well, you'd hope so, right? I mean, you just have the risk on Florida that you only have 6 players, so if somebody gets sick, what do? You know, so even for the sake of that, if nothing else, you need to add a couple more people to that roster. So I'm sure we'll see something pop up for Florida here in the future.
I definitely think we will. It's just a matter of how many players they're going to add. But for the moment, they will be here on Eichenwald. Worth noting that Valiant did lose their last Eichenwald. And one of the weirder decisions that we saw the Valiant make, in my eyes, was running agilities on the Pharah on this map. And the reason why I say that is he was mostly playing the Pharah, the Soldier, and the Genji, which you would think is much more Silk Thread's hero pool rather than agilities.
Yeah. It seems like in general they've been working agilities into more of their compositions as a whole. So maybe they just have a little bit more confidence with this guy, with his communication with the rest of the team. It's hard to say.
Well, he played in the first 2 maps with Valiant and lost against the Gladiators. They switched to Silk Thread and they reverse sweep. So they are very different styles of players. Agility is definitely more of the engaging style of Genji, whereas Silk Thread tends to play a more reactive style, generally speaking. We'll see how they end up rolling with this right out of the gate. Florida Mayhem will be running Tvik on the Junkrat. We do see that a little bit. Mostly, though, for Florida, it has been double hit scan, and they only occasionally flex to the Junkrat, but they will be using it here for the defense of point A.
That's right. Valiant getting ready to attack Florida Mayhem on the defense as we get things started on Eichenwald. See how far the Valiant can push it. The doors are open. I suppose they need to take the point before they can push it.
Yes, they do, and we are going to see soon pop up and take a peek out here with the Widowmaker. I think he'll be changing after seeing this. It is a choke point style of defense here. You're not going to be getting through that Orisa shield or find a lot of opportunities, and he will go back and switch over to the Tracer immediately. So the most common composition we have seen here on Eichenwald Attack since we started the Overwatch League is Tracer Pharah, and we're going to have that once again.
Makes sense. Soon versus Logix is a matchup a lot of people are looking forward to, as Desk mentioned. Kareem gets a kill on the Logix beginning, so Soon denied the duel there. Oh, nice kill onto Swoosh from Agilities, and he's still going another one. Tvik goes down, and this is already looking like a pretty solid push here, unless Logix can come back and carry again. Oh, Zebasai falls though, and that may be point A already.
That's methodical positioning from the side of the Valiant, and you have to expect them coming through with the Pharah and the Tracer, which makes this choke point defense that we saw from Florida less effective because people can simply get behind enemy lines so easily or play with the top of the houses if you're the Pharah. Now they are just really pushing them back into the spawn right now. Kareev is the one who's back and on the payload. Everyone else from the Valiant is guarding these doors.
Yeah, they do not want to let Florida get any semblance of defensive setup, and there's a barrage from Agilities. Finds Zupa right away, makes it out with his life, and Valiant just rocking Florida's world right now.
Yeah, they was just playing the choke points. Tvik did manage to escape onto the Tracer. He's currently on the bridge above the action, so maybe he can get something done with Kareev, but everybody else bottled up now inside of the castle on the side of the Mayhem, and they've got to figure out a way to escape.
That's right. Usually you're trying to storm the castle, not escape the castle. It's reversed for Florida. Zupa pops that Valkyrie trying to, or rather Zebasai pops that Valkyrie trying to keep people up for now, but the team's kind of scattered.
His payload hasn't been stopped at all, though, and Kareev has been sitting on it the entire time, and he's almost to the bridge.
Now Logix takes out Agilities, but of course, the res coming in immediately.
Now they are making it out, but Zupe has to use the Transcendence simply to get out of the choke point. Now they're finally, for the first time, putting pressure on the payload.
Yeah, can they kill Manitin? Oh, nice shot from Kareev getting Manitin before the remake. That was clutch, and that's going to end the defense for Florida.
Absolutely will. So they're going to have to be pushed back once again, and basically an entire free point B for the Los Angeles Valiant, as they have not been stopped at all. Their aggressive defense, or offense rather, has paid off.
Yeah, they're already in the castle, man, putting a lot of pressure onto Florida. There it is. Point B nearly taken. One last defense from Florida coming out. See what they can do with it. Zupa a little bit low. Pass it back away. Manitin, D-Max, that's big. Agility's popping him out of that Diva suit right away. There goes Zupa. They use the Transcendence on the Valiant side, but everybody's staying up for the moment. Another barrage, and slowly but surely, Valiant grinding down Mayhem until there's pretty much nobody left, and that'll be point B.
And Zebasai dying right as he gets the Valkyrie, so not even an opportunity to come back and contest that.
That's
Transcendence used, Agility dropping the barrage within the healing aura of the Transcendence. That will just clear everybody off the payload. LA Valiant coming through with 4.5 minutes now for point C. Swaps engaged now. Swoosh will be switching over to the Reinhardt. Much more effective in this narrow corridor that is Eichenwald C.
Yep. Oh, Soon gets the stick. Oh, no! Logix caught in that one as well. Soon coming up big here, and that is a huge fight for Valiant. That is about as clean as it gets, and man, you can never lose track of where Soon is if he's on that Tracer.
No, and the value you get is absolutely crazy as well. Unko still gonna hold on to his Valkyrie for this fight. Zebasai gonna have to be the hero here with his own Valk. Barrage is gonna start things up. That means the Valk is gonna have to come out right away from the Mayhem.
I mean, Barrage just comes in, and yeah, they gotta use those reses right off the bat. Agilities still raining death from above on that Pharah. Now the Transcendence for Florida. And Valiant, they can just back off and wait this out.
Yeah, they can still just rain the rockets in right now, bust down some of these barriers and slowly push them off. Transcendence is up again.
That Fate falls, brought back up by Unko though. That self-destruct not pushing Valiant back that much.
And they're not going to get the revive onto Soon, so maybe the Mayhem can hold here right at the very end of the map.
Oh, Zebasai goes down though. That's a good start for Valiant in this final fight. There goes Swoosh, no res of course, because there's no mercy on the Florida side. Tvik comes in, does take down Fate with the Riptire though, and Agilities has just been relatively untouched in the sky here. That's going to be it. Valiant finishes it with quite a bit of time left on the clock.
Over 3 minutes remaining, Noah, and that's a very impressive start.
Not bad.
For the Valiants. It will be 3 minutes and 10 seconds in the time bank as Florida Mayhem moves over to the attack, and they have their work cut out for them.
Well, it was just crazy protection for Agilities at the end of that last point, too, because you usually don't use a Pharah on point C there. It's just too dangerous. Not enough space to get away from everybody, but they just couldn't touch him.
Here's some crazy stats for you, Doa, too. Kareev and Unko, the supports, died 0 times.
Wow, that is crazy.
0.
And again, like, credit to the tanks and DPS on this team, because we saw how far ahead they were getting, how much they were just locking Florida down in their defensive spawns, and there was really nothing to stop that payload at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that goes for the rest of the Valiant, too. There were 4 deaths in total for the Valiant.
Man.
Compared to 40 for the Mayhem. 2 deaths from Fate, 1 from Soon, 1 from Agilities, Envy, Kareev, and Unko deathless.
So you're saying the kills were 40-4.
40-4.
In that round.
You know what we call that, Doa?
What do we call that?
Being beaten like a rented mule.
Wow, that's what we call that. And that's not smart because it's a rental.
Yeah, well, no, the rental is what you beat. Now, you don't beat your own mule, Doa.
Right. Just make sure you get the full coverage on the rented mule, just in case. Here at Overwatch League, we are in the support of protection for all mules, rented or otherwise. Treat your mules kindly.
That's right. No mules were actually beaten in the production of the Overwatch League.
We had to do that disclaimer. Well, Florida Mayhem with their chance to attack here, a mountain to climb though, as there's a lot of time in the time bank left for Valiant. Here we go, Valiant going to the top. Manatin is ready, but nope, swapping back onto that D.Va. Thought maybe he could get a shot off onto Agilities. But they're going in now.
And they are going to be flying into Vic on the Pharah. Attempting the same style of attack with Logix moving over to the Tracer. Yep, Zebasai is falling back right now. Swoosh surrounded there by Soon on the flank, but Zubei will get the headshot onto him. So it's going to force a resurrection from both of our Mercy players.
Yeah, Logix almost to the point here. He's got a good flank actually on the side. Back in the house for the moment. And Valiant kind of being bottled up a little bit here. Having to deal with a lot of pressure coming in from a lot of different angles.
Yeah, Mayhem have an opportunity here. They have an advantage. They force them all back into the hunting lodge. This is where you want them to be.
Yep. Envy trying to protect. Gets stuck though. Gonna get probably D-Max. Yeah, he does. Logic brings him out of the D.Va suit with the pulse bomb. Methodical. But Florida moving forward, and now Valiant strikes back. That's gonna be the kills they need, and it was a good attempt by Florida, but in the end, they don't come away with it with a tick yet.
Yeah, Fate just coming back into the engagement from spawn, managing to clean up the people on the point using the Tesla cannon.
Right.
And they can't capitalize. Florida can't capitalize, even though they do push them all the way into the back of the point. Soon it slips away and deals the necessary damage. So, bit of a reset now from the Florida Mayhem as they come back in.
That's right. Plenty of time for Valiant to get set up themselves as well. Zebasai has that ultimate now on the Mercy. She's been down already. Zebasai just gonna pop that Valkyrie. They're gonna go for it here. Some low health members on the Valiant side, but Kareev just kind of free firing from the hunting lodge, and nobody can really get back to him right now.
Soon and Fate are going to be brought back up. Primal Rage used by Fate right now. Zebasai and Zubei coming in with their own support ultimates. Yeah, that's going to be countered here by Kareev.
Fate, no, don't run from your healer. Come back. That is so frustrating for Zenyatta. Fate gets the kill on the Zupa anyway, so it was worth it. Logix finally finishes him off, and that may be some trouble here for Valiant. There goes Unko, and that could be point A right there. A little bit of communication problems there. I mean, when your Winston's nearly dead and you pop the Transcendence,
well,
you gotta connect. You gotta connect at some point.
The other issue there was just the initial deaths that happened from Fate and Soon. Going very far forward. Envy's still gonna contest this though, Joe. He's gonna have some reinforcements very shortly. Fate's coming back in with Soon.
He's using that self-destruct to keep delaying too. Fate back on the point right now. Florida nearly has it. Maybe Manatin can clear this out with his self-destruct. No kills, but he does get back in the match. And Logix found Unko. So that Mercy out of the way, and the payload will get moving for Florida.
Yeah, that was just from the Valiant to draw some additional ults out if they could. They got the self-destruct. Not really an opportunity for them to hold that with one by one trickling into the point.
Yeah.
And now we're going to see the Mayhem try and push forward and control these choke points, these doors from the spawn, just like we saw from the Valiant.
The nice thing for Valiant is that by sending some people for that late contest, it does prevent them from being bottled up in the castle like Florida was. They did get enough people out to protect the respawns.
Yes, yeah, definitely did.
Yep.
And now they're going to start contesting the payload already. So Unko there with agility.
Ooh.
And he's going to find Tvik. So enough members, 5 now from the Valiant, just on top of the payload, and he's going to force Mayhem back through the portcullis gate here to regroup.
Yep. Thought maybe Florida would get a chance to push over here. Soon did kill himself in the pulse bomb a little bit ago. That happens once in a while. Happens to the best of us. But now Valiant with a strong defense here. Logix goes back to spawn, trying to find a good angle. And Tvik actually gets the kill on agility, so that may be the opening. As the res comes in, it doesn't. Fate with the primal rage trying to push people back, and that's going to give Unko enough room to come in with the Mercy ultimate. Transcendence used on the Florida side as Logix hides for just a second here. Florida back on the payload now, and Tvik looking for more targets here.
And
Transcendence, though, it's going to prevent him from fighting those for a little while.
Yeah, Florida Mayhem should be able to get some decent movement on the payload right here. Transcendence used late by Kareem and not going to be helping out to
nice
resurrecting
shot.
people. Tvik, he has killed agilities 3 times in that fight.
Dude,
Both the resurrects were used on agilities, and Tvik dominates him.
That was some pretty sick predictive shooting by Tvik there just a moment ago, taking out the entire pharmacy.
That time, though, agilities wasn't positioned too aggressively, and it was his death that forced the Valkyrie from the side of the Valiant to start that fight.
Yeah. Oh, it's barrage time. Tvik in the doorway. Can they keep it up? Not quite. Agilities comes in from top, but Agilities still getting, or rather Tvik getting through with that barrage anyway. A lot of barrage being used here, but the payload is moving. Florida keeps it rolling for the moment.
Yeah, and actually they have a chance to stall here. There aren't any DPS on the cart from the Mayhem, so it's 2 supports and Manitin only. So they can't push that forward. Fate will be happy just to sit behind the payload in his bubble, and that'll give the Los Angeles Valiant a moment to reset up their defense.
Yep.
Now, dangerous position now. Only a self-destruct to work with for the Mayhem, but they're going to have that Mercy ultimate up faster, so...
Minute left. Oh, and Supa falls early. Soon finds the pick in the back lines. Managin does manage to take down Fate here, and Envy a little bit on his own. Not a lot of healing, as a lot of that is concentrated on agilities. Nice self-destruct, finishes off Envy, and clears away for the payload to get through point B. Looks like it might get there. No Unko jumping down, but of course, you can't hold the payload too long with a Mercy, and that'll be point B for Florida.
Yeah, with the extra help of the Valkyrie, they had a big ultimate advantage going to that fight. Use it early and make sure that they push through to point B. Now, are we going to see any swaps right now? Side of the Valiant.
Yeah, Fate on the Orisa now.
Yep.
Dune over on the McCree.
Yep. So trying to take advantage. Agility's also on the Junkrat. So trying to take advantage of the zone control that these heroes give you and the crowd control to prevent the flanks from coming in.
It's a lot of swaps, but they do have the support ultimates to keep people up. And Unko's going to use his right now. There's the Mercy ultimate pop by the Valiant side. Swoosh does get taken out. Tvik has to avoid that self-destruct. Gotta watch out, man. Uses a barrage, and Envy gets 2. That's a brave move for Tvik, but in the end, Valiant going to push Florida back.
Yeah, they are, and only a minute remaining as well, so having Zebasai not quite there with the Mercy ultimate yet, has some time to continue to get it before the clock ticks down to 0. Tvik will also take this opportunity to move over to the Junkrat. Logix now on the McCree, so the compositional change has happened, but it's 1 support ult to none now as Kareev hangs on to the Transcendence.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty crucial here as Florida comes in for their last push. Zebasai is going to have his Valkyrie up on that Mercy. And it's time. 40 seconds left. They got to go now.
Yeah, they do. They're going to try and break down this barrier first off. Zebasai does have the Valkyrie in time.
Wow, Transcendence comes out from Kareev as well. Deadeye used, no kills onto that one. No, I spoke too soon. Swoosh taken out, but Zebasai there with the res right away. Tvik pulled in by the halt. but Swoosh paving the way with that primal rage. The payload moving a little bit here, and Florida coming out ahead big time in this fight.
Yes, they are, Doha, so they're going to start to mop this one up. Fate is still alive. Is he going to get back to the payload in time?
Gotta handle the respawns. Here they
rush
come.
through those doors. He may regret staying on the Orisa as he gallops towards the payload.
Well, he's not going to last too long on that one.
Agilities.
Who's taken out by that Riptire, though? That's pretty good. Envy over on the Reaper now, but taken out by Logix. There's the Deadeye. Gets soon. It's taken out, and I don't know if they have enough. Tvik needs to come up big with this Riptire, and no, nobody can get there, and LA Valiant will take Eichenfall.
Wow, Florida Mayhem did make it much more interesting, though, having a pretty
Yeah.
decent attack round after really struggling on that defense.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, Logix found a lot of good angles. Tvik, of course, looks good on pretty much everything he plays. Really heroic Pharah efforts, especially on point B on that map. And Florida, you know, they lost map, but they made it close. We may be in for a series here, guys. Map 2 coming up in just a few minutes.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Los Angeles Valiant. Back in the early days of Contenders.
They had a very one-dimensional style, and that was a big problem.
Our team goal right now, just to improve and get better and learn the game.
Team goals, I'm just looking for our team to build a brotherhood.
They have added on player after player. They love how they rebuilt this team.
If you always have the mentality, you should always do your best, wins will just naturally come.
And LA get themselves a first map, a nail-biter of a fight. Los Angeles Valley leader, that's so badly.
The goal is to be first. We have a lot of work to do, but it's possible. I want to be first.
The Valiant are so close now, they can almost taste this. That's going to be it. Finally breaking through. The Los Angeles Valiant claim the City of Angels for themselves.
I definitely think we're going to be a different team by the end of the season.
We will not disappoint. Hope you guys are ready.
Well, I think despite the close game against Florida in map number 1, Valiant certainly is showing that they are a team that is evolving over the course of the season, and it's fun to see how they've worked some of these new members into what they've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we expected great things when Unko and Soon joined this roster, and they've delivered. They've taken some very close matches versus top teams like London, and been solid, you know, clutch, especially this week against the Gladiators.
I mean, it doesn't get much more clutch than that, to have a reverse sweep in one of your matches. That's crazy. And I guess the Gladiators getting a taste of their own medicine in that category, getting the reverse sweep from the other side now. But Florida was still a chance to come back. That map, I would say, was closer than a lot of people were expecting it was going to be.
It was closer.
Especially after round 1.
Yeah, especially after the Valiant attack. It was much closer than we thought it would be. So hopefully the Florida Mayhem are nice and warmed up now as we head to Egypt for Temple of Anubis. And this is a map that we've seen a lot of Widowmaker play on, particularly from the Mayhem. They love to run Widowmaker and Tracer. This is where we really get into a lot of the double hit scam that has been the bread and butter of the Mayhem over the last couple of weeks of competition.
Yep, that is correct. So Valiant on the attack first one more time here. Florida Mayhem will be on the defense. We'll see if Florida can tie up this series. They've got one match win under their belt at least this season.
That's very true, but they also have really struggled in other matches, especially this week.
Yeah, pretty much all.
Especially this week. They already, by the way, have one more point taken than they did when they were swept by Houston, where they got 1 point across 4 maps.
That is true. They now have 2 against Valiant already, so good start. Now Tavik gonna give Swoosh a bit of a boost onto the high ground there, of course, and then go back to spawn. His name is not Rascal, so he won't be playing the May.
or J-Hong.
Rascal or J-Hong, yeah, that's right.
The 2 actual May players.
Different situations.
Yeah, he will be switching off to the Junkrat, so...
As usual.
Well, it is mixing it up from what they've done Anubis on prior occasions when they preferred to run the Widow and the Tracer together, so...
That looked very dangerous.
It did look very dangerous. You have to be calm. Have to trigger the bear trap.
Don't move.
So Valiant will be using the dive with agilities on the Genji. And we'll see how well they can dislodge this high ground defense. Usually you have the Junkrat on the opposite side of where the Orisa and the Widowmaker are. And you have the Tracer try and pressure the Junkrat if you're on attack. Try and find that opening. Agility is going to go across to try and get to the other side. It's like Valiant have readjusted, so it's a 4 versus 4 on the far side of the map right now.
Karif kind of on his own way in the back here, but ooh, Soon taken out by Tvik already. Agilities finds everybody in that hallway. A lot of low people. There goes Epicai, but another kill coming back from Tvik, who was rezzed, of course. Fate going down, so it looks like this first push from Valiant is not going to really go anywhere.
Well, not yet, though, but they did kill Tvik, and they're going to get the members of the Valiant back and able to attack faster. Then Tvik will be able to join them.
Ooh, Logix with a late stagger kill onto Envy.
Not anymore, yes.
That's going to take some time, and that's going to crucially give Zupa time to build that resurrection cooldown up again.
Yeah, so much of Anubis A defense is about balancing your leaps across the point. Yeah. So which side you try and react faster than the defense. It's difficult for the defense to move across that gap, but very fast. Or the attack to move across that gap, but very fast for the defense. So
true.
You have to probe in as the attack and figure out which side you're going to be diving on.
Al Soon just trying to draw people down onto the low ground here with that Tracer. They're on the point now. Manatin came down and joined him. Now back up to the high ground. Faith falling early in this fight again after killing Tvik. Zebasai goes down as well. There's Zupa, and that is what the Valiant need to take this point. Swoosh finished off as well, and this should be point A.
At that time, they attack the solo Orisa on the top high ground of the point, and that forces the Mercy Zupa to come over and heal. Then they drop down to the point and start taking out the supports and DPS. So,
yep,
has been cracked here for the Valiant. They have 6 minutes remaining.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, they have to play into Zuppe's Valkyrie, though, so probably not going to work on this first attack unless the Pulse Bomb or the Dragon Blade go particularly well for them.
Soon's got to be sneaky here. Coming on the side, looking to stick this to support. Perhaps.
Well, they need to get Zuppe. That's the one support. It's the only support that really matters. Logix is slowly, slowly creeping. He has managed to make it all the way into the back of the point. He's not seeing what he wants to see, though. Zuppe's playing so far back.
Oh, he's been discovered.
Yeah, Zuppe's in the back corner right now, so it just wasn't going to work.
Well, good defensive positioning, too. You know the angle those traces are going to come from. And now, Valiant going in earnest. Zuppe does pop that Valkyrie right off the bat. Agility's waiting it out. He's got the Dragon Blade, and where they lose Fate.
But no value from the Valkyrie. So Zuppe pops it early, and you see Valiant immediately retreats. So they're just trying to survive now, not get staggered, and Soon uses the Pulse Bomb, but that's a disposable ultimate. And now there's an opportunity here for the Valiant, a great one, in fact, to get their attack done, especially if they can get that Transcendence out, or they take some poke damage and charge up Unko's Valkyrie.
Well, mission accomplished for Valiant, for sure, to get that Mercy ultimate all the way. Now Soon coming back in again. And gets discovered. Logic's watching for him this time. He's going to take the 1v1. But Soon, falling back with his team. Gotta protect Kriv, though.
They use of recall there instead of just using the orb.
Yeah.
Oh, but he still gets Logic's okay.
Yeah, put himself in the position to finish that kill. Use a bit of surprise with that recall here. He's gonna go and stick swoosh. There's a kill onto the monkey. And now Agility's with that Dragon Blade. Gets one on this Ebisai. Needs a bit more, and again, Zuppe. No Mercy ultimates, so those kills are gonna be pretty permanent for now, even though the respawns will be quick.
Yeah, they are. Tavik still struggling to get on the point right now. Manitin will be debacked and taken down by Agilities.
Agility's having a great fight right now, and Swoosh can buy a little bit of time with this Primal Rage, maybe.
Tavik takes out Envy in the mini diva form, and Unko actually dies during the resurrection of Envy, so that may be enough now for Florida to hold on to this point.
Could be. They did lose Zuppe again early, but he's back already. The tanks are back for Florida, though, so yeah, I think if you're Valiant, probably time to take a break here. Agility's just going to keep fighting it out. That's a good DMAC on the Manitin, at least. They're going to go for it.
Yeah, they are going to keep committing to this to get the Dragon Blade back up, and now he's going to leave. And he's fully charged up his ultimate. So nice defense there from Florida. It was at 66%, but that is 0.6% shy of tick 2.
Yep.
My ultimate is charged.
So nearly getting it to the second tick, but not quite. Florida Mayhem will hold. Zebasai has flipped to the Sombra right now, which is a hero we used to see very commonly on Anubis B defense, but has been scarce in terms of the Overwatch League so far, despite the power of hacking that mega health back underneath the bridge on the approach to the point.
It can still be strong.
I definitely think it can be, yeah.
Unko using that res a bit early on Kariv, who was ticked off by Logix, as we saw a couple seconds ago. So that's going to be out for the next fight. Unko getting pretty close to his Mercy ult, though. Zebasai has that EMP already. You get it so quickly. Oh, and Swoosh falls early. Maybe an opportunity here. Zuppe, he's going to go down before he uses his Mercy ult, and this is a golden opportunity for Valiant here. EMP comes in, though, and Zebasai eliminates Kareem before falling to Unko. The Battle Mercy coming out, but that's going to be point B anyway. And Valiant will finish it with 2:17 left in the time bank.
That's right. Mayhem actually held that off pretty well for a long time. Their positioning wasn't punished by some sneaky moves from Soon early on. And because they had the Valk disadvantage, it took a while for the Valiant to work their way back up and find the fight that they needed to win the game, or the round, rather.
Right. I mean, in the end, it was just those good picks on the supports on the Florida side that paved the way to take those last 2 picks.
We are going to move into the attack here from Florida, and I presume they will be running the Widow and the Tracer, which has been the staple here for them. They haven't given us too many looks in terms of team compositions in the past couple matches.
Unko's face rather, a moment ago just said, I could have gotten more kills with that Mercy pistol.
Yeah, he did his job. He did his job, though.
He got 1. That's good. If you get 1 kill with the Mercy in a round, you're feeling pretty good. Florida on the attack.
Yeah, I like what we saw from the Valley in terms of disengaging, though. It seems like they're cleaning up some of their calls when it comes to which ultimates are available on the enemy team, making sure that they're better about not stacking support ultimates as well.
Yeah. Maybe finally getting a little bit of that cohesion back that they had in spades back in Contenders last summer as Misfits, but haven't really had as much of as the Florida Mayhem. It's been a puzzling ride for these guys, but they do seem to be slowly getting things together. And you know, again, we talked about this earlier. You can't help but get a little bit excited about the prospects of adding more people onto this team. And
that's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm excited about.
Right. Hey, I'm just an excited guy all around. But yeah, new players for Florida sound pretty cool. See what they can mix and match with. Florida on the attack. You know, if it were me, I would just take that flying boat into the point and land it there.
Yeah, just take it all the way to the second point.
You don't have to go through the choke point then.
Tavik is going to switch to the Junkrat and then the Genji. Actually, we haven't seen Tavik's Genji in a little bit, so this definitely is a good pickup here. As soon as they saw the Widowmaker behind the Orisa shield on defense, you're not going to win the Widow duel, so no point in continuing to play with that hero and try and deal with the barrier. You have to dive the high ground.
Certainly a hero that Tavik's pretty familiar with. Oh, Zebasai. Getting very familiar with Widowmaker in the worst way possible there.
Agilities also will manage to take out Logics with the help of some grenade spam.
Yep. And Florida locked down now for the moment.
Yep, gotta wait. Logics back up though, so make another approach. But this is a long flank that you have to get here with the Genji as we watch Tavik. He needs to come through these windows and then you gotta go around the backside of where Orisa is. And you can't do that if you're constantly getting poked, because you're not gonna have a support with you. So he has to keep getting these health bags.
Yep, I mean, at least you do have access to those big health packs when you're making this flank, but having to go get them makes everything take longer. Already down to 240 on the clock here. Manitin flies right into his trap. Gonna get demeched immediately. And kills coming in for Fate as well. Zebasai up on that high ground. Kind of finds himself on his own a little bit. Vic trying to poke from behind, but, you know, again, he walks right into the Widowmaker trap and has to go back for that health pack as the rest of his team falls.
Yeah, the Mayhem are trying to escape with their supports right now, but may not be working. Tavik is still alive in the back lines, but they know that thanks to the Venom Mine.
Yep.
They don't have time to deal with him right now. Kareev needs to be careful that he's not going to die as he heads back from spawn soon. Goes to the low ground to find some angles for his shots.
Peace be upon you. True enough. I don't believe Zenyatta when he says that, by the way. Peace be upon you? No.
He's like Gandhi in Civilization.
That's right. Nuclear war all day, every day. Civ Gandhi, most bloodthirsty of all supports.
Riptire
nice shot on Tavik.
Riptire gonna take Zupe out, so the shot onto Tavik, then the Riptire onto Zupe means there's no chance here. Late stagger for Manitin.
Yeah.
3 members trying to escape.
Oh dear.
And they are not going to escape with their lives.
I was gonna say, man, I saw Zebasai coming out of there. I'm like, that's not gonna end well for you, buddy.
Peace be upon you.
Well, the Orisa was taken off the high ground, so Soon will not have a barrier up there now because you have to use the May wall to boost the Orisa into that position. Means Fate and Kareev are going to be playing on the very back side of the point on the low ground. And Soon will be more exposed than he was previously.
Yep. All right, Florida going through the building now. Trying to get in there, but now you have to deal with the Junkrat spam. And that's the tough thing about this defense, right? Is you have to face the Junkrat one side, and you have to face the Widow on the other side. Not a lot of good options here.
I mean, Soon's playing really far forward right now. He's moved up. He's trying to prevent Zebasai from getting in with his allies. Zebasai can't get into the choke point right now because Soon is zoning him out.
And Agility is being really impressive with this Junkrat spam, too. Just not really letting anyone through the door. They finally go through, but that makes Agilities with a wide open shot onto Zupi. He's going to get him with the concussion mine. Really well played here by Valiant already. But Tavik may be coming back here. He does manage to reflect that mine into Agilities, actually.
But here comes the Valkyrie Doa. Kareev also using the Transcendence on the point. There's only 10 seconds left.
Yeah, I don't know if Florida's going to be able to even get back to the point with this one. Down to 5 now. Maybe they can get somebody there. They've got Logics kind of being annoying. There's a bounce back. And they're on the point now, but they've already lost Zupa. Oh, man, disaster for Florida. And this map looks like it's going to be going Valiant's way as soon as the cleanup comes in and be zoning a bit with that self-destruct. The tanks are there, but again, no mercy. Not a lot of healing for Florida as they try to grind this point out. just doesn't look like it's going to be enough. And overtime ticking away, Logix gets not quite there. And that'll be another map going the way of the Los Angeles Valiant.
That was an absolutely brutal hold from the Valiant.
It really was.
At the end of that, so the Valiant realized that Zebasai had respawned and he was playing the Zenyatta, so he was actually standing outside the archway at the entrance to that point, and Soon was just zoning him out. He could not get into the point to help his team. So basically they were playing with one support that entire time, and as soon as he tried to walk through, he was instantly headshotted and killed. So Soon controlling space magnificently there, no chance to get in.
That's right, 2-0 lead for Valiant. Florida tries to bring it back after halftime, right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, everybody. We've seen an incredible performance so far by the Los Angeles Valiant. They currently lead 2-0. So at the half, we got to talk about what's happened so far, because coming into this match, Crumbs, you said, I'm a little bit worried for the Valiant. They've been off to 2 very slow starts.
Well, Puckett, speed is relative, and it looks like Florida's already in the retirement home. So they look like they're super ahead of the
Like that.
You have the Valiant on the second point of Eichenwald, literally 5v6 them at the choke since the point started. They just flew right away, and they have Kariv Zenyatta ride the payload the whole way through. So they just put us a show and Mayhem had nothing to say about it.
And Brendan, the numbers were ridiculous. You were looking at the stats, and you said after the Valiant's attack, they've had 10 times the final blows.
Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous, to be honest. 40 deaths, I believe, or 40 final blows compared to Florida's 4, which is a massive discrepancy. It's huge, honestly. And I honestly felt like Florida played a lot better in the second round of Eichenwald. They actually cleaned it up quite a bit. We talked about Tvik and Logix needing to step up their game if they wanted to try and sort of win this one against Valiant. They started to do that, but they were just too slow to get started in that first round.
And let's talk a little bit about the fans in the room, because it's been very quiet for the Florida Mayhem when they're succeeding. I feel like just like the Shanghai Dragons, this is a squad that needs a lot of support. And I want to give a special shout out. We got Murphy and Dylan in the front row here today. These two have been cheering on the opposition all game long. Dylan's in a Doritos coma right now. But they've been making this fun to watch. And honestly, I feel like Florida, they're not out of it yet. Yes, they're off to a very slow start in this regular season, but we have seen good moments from them. We didn't see too much in the first 2 games, but Crumbs, as you're looking forward, who are the players to keep your eyes on?
So I think it's not specifically just the players, but they have to recognize what the Valiant have been doing. And the Valiant tend to go for a kind of defense that is very aggressive at times. They set up and they say, you know what, we're not going to fight at this area. We're going to push a little bit further. Similar to the London Spitfire, the Seoul Dynasty, the New York Excel. They like to defend and be a little bit aggressive like that. But the Valiant also like to do this in their attack, as we saw the second point of Eichenwald. And as long as the Mayhem can be prepared for it and not funnel out individually through chokes and actually say, okay, let's wait for everybody, gather the troops before we push out, I think they'll have a much better time. And it's not so much as a one person, but the shot caller would be the person that directs this.
Shot caller's got to step it up. Okay, let's talk about Anubis now, because we again see Valiant holding strong on the defense. Florida, let's talk about their attack. Bren, what do you think?
Yeah, in general, I think Florida, they were on the defense to begin with, so I'll start with that. But they were looking a lot better, actually. They were showing a bit of flexibility in terms of what they like to run. We saw a lot of high-performance moments coming out from Logix and Tvik as well. Tvik had a great game on Anubis in general, but ultimately it's kind of fell flat a little bit. And I was a bit disappointed as well because Florida was showing so much flexibility. You can see here Zebasai was also on the Sombra. We used to see a lot of Sombra on Anubis' second point. You don't see it as often these days, but it's still a very popular, very powerful defensive position. But Valiant eventually overcame it, and a big part of that was Soon. It was kind of the Soon show a lot of the way. Agility's also very impressive player. We're talking a lot about the DPS players, but for very good reason, because they were dominating this game.
Defense was okay for Florida. It wasn't amazing. The attack was pretty rough. Crumbs, what issues were they running into? What was Valiant doing?
Well, they had the Orisa Hawk combination that we saw previously in the last set. The Dallas Fuel was running the entire time, and it seemed like it's a composition that Boston struggled already, and now once again trying to dive against that just was not working, because you also have the Widowmaker just sniping right away. So it requires a lot more coordination. We actually saw the defense, I think, to me, was highlighting how Mayhem's coordination was not there, because when the point is being capped, you have Sombra EMPing the supports by herself, nobody's on the point, and this kind of disjointment only gets exemplified by having an Orisa Hawk combination that's all about picking and then a Widowmaker. So the playstyle that they're playing right now is being read by the composition that the Valiant is playing.
We got Ilios coming up next. We know this is a game mode in Control where your individual skill can really shine. Crumbs, I want to come to you first. Player to watch from the Valiant so far after seeing games 1 and 2.
Soon, going for that flank. I know we always go for Soon, but he keeps making plays, so how can you not want to keep the camera on him?
Top 5 Tracer, if not in the top 3 right now, where do you have him?
Top 5 at least. I mean, Soon is him. Actually, now that I really think about it, you put me on the spot there. I was just copying what Crumbs was saying. But I would actually say top 3, to be honest, because the guy is in another sort of realm, really, when it comes to the Tracer play. He's up there with Sebaiobi, at least as one of the best Tracers in the world. Johnny will be happy about that one. He bigs him up quite often. But also, in general, his play style is so unique that it catches a lot of these teams off guard.
Soon's going to be amazing on the Tracer. We know we can do on Widow. Who is your player from the Florida Mayhem to shut him down?
Florida Mayhem, Tvik. Tvik, I've been going on about how I needed him to perform for Florida to have a good game. So far, he has been performing, and that's what I've been a fan of. If he keeps up the momentum he's got and the rest of his team gets behind him now, starts working together a little bit better, we might start to see things turn around for Florida Mayhem.
It's week 3. It's been a ridiculous week of Game 5s. How many of you guys out there want to see a Game 5? Sounds like a lot of people want to get to that Houston Gladiators match. We'll see if the Los Angeles Valiant can lock it up. They need just one more map win, and Ilios will be their opportunity after the break. Is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Overwatch League represents a different direction than esports have taken in the past. A global community of professionals for a truly global league.
Welcome back, guys, to the Blizzard Esports Arena here in Burbank, California. Doe and Monte Cristo here in Florida. Down 2 games, but not out as we go to Ilios and our control map.
It's looking grim, though.
Perhaps.
And not grim reality like on the LA Valiant, because we're not going to see him, at least in this match.
Not in this map.
Not in this map.
Right.
We are going to have some substitutions, though, or one in particular. Will be Silk Thread coming in for Agilities. They did this in the Gladiators match as well, subbing in Silk Thread at halftime for the Control and Escort maps to close out the day.
That's right. So Eichenwald and Temple of Anubis going the way of the LA Valiant. Now we go to Ilios, our control map, and then we'll finish things off with Dorado unless that 5th and final map is needed. That would be insanity. But you know what, Monte Cristo? Week 3 in the Overwatch League has been solely about insanity. We have seen so many crazy matches this week already that if, like, Florida came back in reverse sweep, I would not be surprised.
It has been.
I would not be surprised.
A lot of upsets, or even near upsets, as we were talking about. We were casting the Shanghai Dragons Philadelphia match yesterday, which was much closer.
Oh, that was a heartbreaker, man. They were so close.
Most people anticipated, and of
they
course,
were so close.
2 of the top rosters in London and New York also getting upset earlier this week. So has been an exciting time in the Overwatch League as we head towards we're actually past the halfway point of the stage.
I know. Is that not crazy? I mean, it feels like we've just started. We're already over halfway done with stage 1.
So plenty more Overwatch. Only one of 4 stages.
I was going to say, there's a lot more going.
Many more matches of exciting Overwatch to
less than 20
enjoy.
Less than 25% of the way done with the entire league. So that's good. Here we go. We're going to start things off on Ruins. Valiant certainly looking like they've got this series nailed down, but
Monsoon of bullets.
Oh, come on. I swear I didn't write these guys.
That leads the league's Widowmakers in damage for 10 minutes on Ilios, and that doesn't surprise me. We've seen some very solid Widowmaker play from him on Ruins. He has been the most dominant Widow on this point. And Logic will be trying to match him, and this means Tavicus on the Tracer, which is something that the Mayhem have been experimenting with before. There you go.
Oh, 19 health. Swoosh waiting for that jump cooldown. Really wants to punish Soon. We'll see if he can. Soon gets to the health pack. Oh man, that was close.
Well, that's the issue, though.
Like a horror movie there.
Ever since the grappling hook cooldown got reduced, the Winston actually can't chase the Widowmaker on cooldown anymore, so it does make it a little bit more challenging. In the meantime, though, you know, it's just the point is quite quickly taken here by the rest of the Valiants, who rush the front line, kills Ebisai immediately, and use Fate to...
Hey, all right.
Oh!
Nice.
Gets the last shot in, last headshot there on the Mercy.
He is definitely the most likely of our Mercies in the league, I think, to pull out that pistol. He's looking for every chance he can get to do that.
It's a lot of fun to watch on this Zero.
Oh, speaking of fun to watch.
Tavik is done. Everybody now herded back in to the small building on the side, and this is efficient play from the Valiant.
Sometimes you can't see the Soon for the trees. You know?
Well, you definitely can't in this case, and especially when 5 of his teammates are chasing the remnants, the shattered remnants of your team down.
Yep. I mean, this was kind of the story on Temple of Anubis a little bit too, where Soon was just able to take all the time in the world to line up those shots because there just wasn't any pressure on him.
Mayhem keep trying to come in from the side, and every time they do, Zebasai dies first.
Yep. Well, they did get a couple kills here. Logix manages to pick Unko off, so it's a good opportunity here.
Yeah, no support left for the Valiant, so finally an opening for them. Envy and Soon, the only ones alive and left on the point. Soon attempting to take out Supe.
Waiting for it. Soon looking for that kill on the enemy Widowmaker, but not finding it quite yet.
They're going to contest this. Yeah, Fate is actually going to go into the point, and the Valkyrie's going to be used to bring back Envy.
Wow, just popping up Vic, but then gets hit by Logix on the opposing Widow. Fate trying to deal with Florida Mayhem on the side, but he has to get out of there. Not a lot of health remaining. Back to the health pack there. Yep, they're back on the point.
As providing some cover for his members on the point. Zebasai comes in, gets the resurrection for Logics by using that Valkyrie. Both Transcendences come out.
Yep. Throughout all this, Florida hasn't switched the point yet. They may finally do it now. Yeah, finally flipping it, but LA kept it up to 99% here, so they've got all the time in the world to come back and take a good fight when they've built up a few more ultimates.
Yes, they do, and they do justify the use of all those ultimates as well, because both teams committing everything, but 99% goes to the Valiant, and they have so much time now.
Yeah.
Continue to clear out this point. Manitin will come in with an aggressive self-destruct and catch Kareem unawares.
All right, Florida playing this really aggressively. They know they can't let Valiant get back to the point at all, where they've already got 99%. Uncle brings Kareem back up again, but that's a res out of the way for 30 seconds in favor of the Florida Mayhem.
And actually, Vic is cornered right now. He is just going to fall. Doesn't even get the D-Mech onto
rough.
Envy, even though he lands the pulse bomb. So there's going to be no resurrection now, and this should be a nice slow push in for the Valiant. And soon we'll take Swoosh first.
Now trying to find Soon there. Got a shot off on him, but didn't kill him. Meanwhile, LA flips the point back again, and the Valiant have overtime ticking away. Florida needs to get back there in a hurry. Tavik falls again. Can anybody get there? Doesn't look like it, and the Valiant will take the first point here on Ilios.
Valiants are playing very patient today.
Yeah, they are.
Not a lot of mistakes being made. They're understanding their timing windows and advantages and exploiting them to basically the maximum possible degree.
Well, they're being very methodical. I mean, even when they are being extremely aggressive, like we saw in the first point on Eichenwald, or the attack on Eichenwald, they still did it in a very controlled manner. Nobody was kind of getting way out ahead. They moved as a unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Ult economy has been great all around.
Yep.
Valiant sharp on our last day here of week 3. And they head into Well. This is a map that previously the Mayhem have liked to use Tracer and McCree on to control the space around the Well. But today, Tavik is feeling like playing a little bit more Junkrat.
Guess so. Going out with the pick again. Now Kareem on the Lucio here. The pairs we often see here on Well. You can get the boops, you can get the people to the point faster.
Problem is they're not going to have an answer for the Pharah here from Silk Thread.
That does make it tricky, doesn't it?
They have to kill some other people. Soon will actually be the first to fall, so that's a nice start from them. Envy also losing his suit.
Yep. All right, Florida with a good start here on Well. They may be able to get the control percent going first. Looks like they probably will. Yeah, control percent building now for Florida.
Yeah, Zebasai, the only one to die on the side of the Mayhem. So they sort of ignore the Pharah and use the defense matrix and the Winston barrier to cover that damage while they take out the front line of the LA Valiant.
Yep. I'll see how much the Mayhem can hold Valiant off again. No ultimates right now for Valiant, but should have some coming up pretty soon here. Silk Thread, of course, is on that Pharah, causing pressure here. Manitin has to back away. Swoosh went low, but they got the healing. Oh, but there goes Tavik. A pick early from Silk Thread. And Valiant hits the go button, and Florida Mayhem pushed off the point. That control percent building, or control meter building a little bit for Valiant right now.
Well, Logic's died deep in a 1v1 versus Soon. So that Transcendence not really going to help, but there's the barrage coming through from Silk Thread as he is healed up.
Yep, that's right. And there goes Swoosh. So Valiant having everything they need to flip this point here. Just got to get rid of Manitin. Super back there too, but Silk Thread already has a shot on him. Goes down early, and Manitin D-Mac, that should be it. And Valiant will be able to flip it. Near 60% though, taken by Mayhem.
As Zebasai coming back with a Valkyrie will be matched by Unko, however. And Kareem, finally, it's been taking him a while in this point to get up to that Transcendence, but another tool for him.
Yeah. Well, he did spend a little bit on Lucio, so he did kind of start off a little bit later.
Logic's actually tired of losing that 1v1 to Soon, and so swaps to the McCree. Also helpful for handling the Pharah. Definitely a good switch here.
Absolutely, that orb of Discord really does wonders against the Pharah sometimes.
Swoosh is alone in the back lines, Primal Raging now. He's trying to make it back towards his team. Does get over the point, but he dies. Wow, that was a really deep dive solo by Swoosh.
Yeah. Well, that's that lack of coordination that hurts him sometimes. Ooh, Silk Thread getting a little bit low. Needs to be careful here.
No supports left alive for the Valiant, so
Yeah.
both supports had their ult.
Oh.
Neither of them is used, though.
Yeah.
And that means Fate gonna get found by Tavik. So it's been a sloppy all around from
Sure
the
has.
Valiant. But they are able to just hold on right now, get some presence on the point. Unko going to engage with the Valkyrie.
Interesting. That's bold.
That's a missed time.
They haven't flipped it yet either. There's the kill up to Vic, so maybe they do have an opportunity now. Yeah, they do flip it, but 83% for Florida Mayhem. This one has certainly been a bit crazy. Soon trying to find a bead. Oh, they do get the Transcendence out of Zupe, actually. All right, Sebasai has used the Valkyrie as well.
Yeah, he used the Valkyrie later, though.
A little bit, yeah. Florida putting everything they got in
There you
this
go.
one, but-
Well, both the DPS from Florida dead now.
Yeah.
That was a sloppy fight from both of these teams. Florida, I'm surprised they even gave up or got the point in the first place, rather. And they gave it up when they were reinforcing, so didn't manage to keep somebody on there and really drive a lot of value out of stalling. So now we're in a position where Valiant will quickly be surpassing the Florida Mayhem when it comes to control percent. Nobody really has any ults. Logic's gonna try and zone. However, he's very far back. He was nowhere near the point. I'm not sure what he thought he was going to get done with that.
Well, I mean, that's why Silk Thread was playing so close to the tower, right? Because he knew the high noon was a threat, and you don't want to be caught out in the open. It's so easy as a McCree to find that pharmacy high in the sky, but Silk Thread playing around it well, soon playing well himself, getting a couple kills here.
Sebasai just can't get there. Finally manages to get in and resurrect Logic.
Oh, Tavik.
He pays for it.
Tavik bounce into the enemy team, and Silk Thread there with a finishing shot, and that's an easy win for Valiant. And they will go ahead and take Ilios 2-0.
They certainly struggled a lot more on Well compared to Ruins.
That last fight.
That last fight was dominant, though.
Yeah.
I agree with you. A risky resurrection means Mansuna was able to target the Mercy coming out from the side of the Florida Mayhem.
That's right, so Valiant have enough to win the series, but one more map to go here between LA Valiant and Florida Mayhem. Florida with an opportunity to come away with at least a map point, which can matter down the road. Guys, don't go anywhere. Map number 4 coming up right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, guys, to Overwatch League. Right now, Valiant celebrating their win over Florida Mayhem, but still one more map to play here as we go to Dorado, our escort map, to finish things off in this 4-map series. Another chance for Florida to at least get a map win out there, but it's been a rough day for these guys.
Well, now that the Valiant are going to be taking another win, they actually have a pretty legitimate shot at still making the end of the stage playoffs as well.
Yeah.
They started out with a very tough schedule coming into this week, and now things do even out and get a bit easier for them as we proceed forward. So Valiant, I think, are going to be one of our stronger teams towards the end of this stage.
I think they've certainly proved that many, many times over, in no small part due to the help from this guy right here, Agilities, coming in for Silk Thread, and both Silk Thread and Agilities have worked out pretty well for this team, I would say.
Yeah, I understand, because we're going into Dorado, why you would want Agilities here.
Sure.
You're going to have a chance to play probably some more Junkrat, which is one of his specialties, so I think his hero pool better suited towards Dorado overall.
Yeah, well, we know he likes to get aggressive and get in there with Genji and the Dragon Blade, and here we go. Welcome to Dorado. See, I see those mountains. I just want to walk up them, Monte Cristo.
Is that what you want to do?
I love
straight
hiking.
up, just straight up the mountain.
I go right up them. But apparently there's power plants at the top of all of them now. So.
Nice ziggurats.
Is that what all the ziggurats are? Are they all power plants?
I have no idea. Maybe some of them are just architectural.
Ziggurats.
Architectural ziggurats, right?
Do you plan on owning a ziggurat at some point in your
I
life?
would love to own a ziggurat,
Yeah.
where I could make my sacrifices to the god of war.
Sure. What would you sacrifice?
What would I
You
sacrifice?
can't say me.
Damn it.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. I thought so. Yep. Keep thinking.
You know how much I love the Aztecs.
One of your prized ties. Something that's hard to part with.
That's why you were.
Don't repeat that.
That's why you were such a good option.
Oh. Hurts bad, man.
But
worse than Florida right now.
Doesn't it make you feel good that that's how much I treasure you? You have to sacrifice things of value, though.
I guess so. That's right. Okay, I feel better now. Thanks. Nothing like a self-esteem boost. I value enough to sacrifice you on top of an ancient ziggurat.
It could be a new ziggurat.
Could be. I mean, ziggurat works. I just like saying the word ziggurat. That's fine.
Zube going to be back on the Ana here on defense. This is something we have seen from the Florida Mayhem. This is what they've run, the Tracer and the Soldier, previously, which does give me a bit of a surprise, considering Tvik has been moving more towards the Junkrat today overall.
Interesting. Not sure those are fireworks or fire rockets or what. Here we go. Valiant on the attack. Agility's on that Genji as the payload gets moving here on Dorado. And they're going to go on the high ground to try to push this typical high ground defense off. See if they can do that. They've at least got a little bit of pressure on there, but got to be careful. No pressure on the back line, though, from Florida.
Yeah, they do have an open firing line, too, onto the payload. Faith getting bumped around right now, has to place down his very try for a dive. He doesn't have healing, though. Unco swoops in when he gets pretty low.
That was a close one, man. Logix does fall to a headshot from Soon, and that payload's going to move.
It's okay, he's back already, don't worry.
Yep.
That's our close range sniping there from Soon.
That was very aggressive there. Oh, Tvik taken down. Free with a kill there.
Not going to be a resurrection available now.
Oh, that's a nano boosted swoosh jumping right on top of Soon. Gets brought back up by the Valkyrie right away. And Florida Mayhem doing their best to stymie Valiant here on their push.
Yeah, but that was so many ults used by Florida, they lost both of their supports. So Tactical Visor came down, as did the nano boost.
Yep.
And now Zube decides it's time to go instead with the Zenyatta.
And throughout all that, Unco had that Valkyrie up. He was using the Mercy ultimate to keep everybody healed, and Florida pushed all the way back here.
And we will see an opportunity for Florida to stall this out before the end of point A.
That's right. I wonder how aggressively Envy is going to use his self-destruct. If he's going to try to zone people with that, or if he's just going to save it.
Yeah, they do have quite a few other ultimates to work with here. So Swoosh is going to start with the Primal Rage, try and
here we go.
Out immediately.
Agilities dashes through the enemy team, comes in with the Dragon Blade.
He doesn't
Can't
have the
find
kill,
target.
though.
No, he doesn't have the dash. He used his dash early on, didn't get any kills to reset it, and that's a Dragon Blade he's going to want back.
And the disengage there ends up working well for the Mayhem, and now it's going to be a reset for the Valiant.
Yep.
This has been one of the better maps for the Florida Mayhem, to their credit.
True. Genji should just be able to throw his sword in that situation, you know? It's like, you don't get it back. Your ultimate's over if you throw your sword, but at least you get one ranged attack if everyone runs away from you.
Yeah,
It's
especially considering how close Logix and Zupe were to dying on that engage. He was almost able to get some decent resets and actually deal with the back line, but no resets coming in. Soon is still lurking, as you can see, on the high ground, trying to find an opportunity to kill somebody. CPS.
Oh, that worked.
Help out in the back line.
Logix is super going down, and I don't know if Zebasai can get there to heal. Well, no, he certainly can't, because he's dead too. And Valiant should be able to roll their way to a point A here as soon as they manage to finish off Tvik, which is right now. So that's going to be point A taken for LA Valiant.
Yeah, and that's relatively quick for them. Still 3.5 minutes left. Florida drained a little bit of time off the clock, but see if they can set up again, because Valiant, as you can see, have already posted far forward and are going to be controlling the exits on the low ground, and not going to be time really for the Mayhem to get firm control of the high ground.
Agility's psyching himself up for his next Dragon Blade. He's like, this one's going to be better. Going in. I'm not going in.
It actually didn't pull it right there. The
No.
most agility thing is usually to pull it right as you engage, but he knew the Transcendence was there.
Well, I
and
think
the fear got the Transcendence out, so he'll be feeling a lot better next time. Finds Tvik in the back.
Wow, yeah, gets a kill on Tvik there, but I think he also saw that Fate was in a lot of trouble too, and so he wouldn't have the support from his Winston. And holding on to that one ended up being a good idea. 5 ultimates available for Valiant here as they push in. 4 for Florida, so a lot of tools to work with on both sides.
Yeah, it's really that trance down, though, that Agility's going to be happy with. Got to get some healing before he can go for the Dragon Blade.
Yeah. Soon down and brought back up again.
Swoosh is basically just trying to control Soon right now. He's been Primal Raging him every single time on this map.
Yep.
To make sure he's not going to hit a lot of those headshots. So they've identified the major threat.
Oh,
it's actually working better for them.
Tvik gets to the health pack, stays alive, and now Agility's cornered, taken down, and Logix with that tac visor. Florida going to hold this payload for a bit longer.
Yeah, but did you want to use the tactical visor there? Unko and Kariv, early deaths in the fight. They're coming back with 2 support ultimates. Agility's still managing to hold on to his.
Yep.
But Swoosh has been doing better. You need to control Soon on the Widowmaker. They realized that after some of their failures on previous maps.
Fate taken down early. That's going to delay Valiant from pushing for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Valiant's been staggered pretty badly this whole time, and they're not even successfully getting out of the marketplace right now, so they're nowhere near the payload.
Florida getting aggressive now. They finally get pushed back to where the payload is. They really had Valiant pinned down for the moment. It's going to be a Primal Rage from Fate, but they've got him cornered. He does get the kill on the Zebasai, though. Zebasai getting trapped in that room, it looks like. And now Logix taken down by Envy. Here's the opportunity for Valiant. This is what they've been looking for, and now they're going to get some real distance on the payload.
And guess what, Doa? They saved everything but the Primal Rage and the Transcendence, too.
Not bad.
So discipline, good here for the Valiant, not overcommitting, realizing that with the Transcendence, they can deal with the confined space on the side of the point, pile everybody in there, and not have to utilize any of their other tools.
Yeah. Good time for Soon to use a Widowmaker ultimate, though. Getting some picks as Florida tries to get set up for another defense would be pretty valuable. He knows where everybody is. There's a kill into Zupe. That's a good start there. Of course, he's going to get brought back up by the res, but it's going to be used now. Valkyrie popped by Unko as they try to push this payload forward here. A couple resurrections coming out on the Valiant side as well. Soon hiding behind the pillar. Oh, can't quite get Manitin as he gets back into the mech. And Florida pushes back the Valiant one more time, and we are down to about 15 seconds left for Valiant.
Yeah, we are, and Swoosh gets a kill onto Kariv, and Swoosh has been across the map, very far away from his team every time he has the Primal Rage. He's either just soloing Soon or soloing Kariv.
Pretty much. Tvik down, and Valiant back on the payload. We're into overtime, though. Florida needs to win this fight. They've got the Transcendence to do it.
Agility is dead, though.
Yeah, that's right. And Unko, remember, he just used his Valkyrie, so he can't bring Agility's back up yet.
Agility's been holding on to that
Unko's really
Dragon
low,
Blade
too.
for such a long time,
That's
and he
switched
went
out.
in first. Didn't have the support and the heals to make sure he could get the Dragon Blade back up.
Yeah, it looks like Valiant, though, grinding this one out. The respawns are quick, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get there soon enough to stop this payload.
I mean, it's only Tvik and Logix that are close to the payload right now, and now that's only one.
That's that. So point B taken by Valiant in overtime. Only a minute 25 to push this through to the end, and that's going to be tough, even for a team like Valiant.
Yeah, still some decent amount rather of stall ability here. Tvik will bolster that as he swaps to the Tracer.
Yep. Well, Genji getting excited there.
Agility's getting excited to use the Dragon Blade, but he's not going to get a chance now.
Bummer.
Self-destruct delays them once again. Will get the resurrection safely behind the wall.
Yeah, and Unko's got the Valkyrie too again, so he's going to be ready in case they need another emergency res. Fate with that primal rage, of course. As the payload is nearly there. 40 seconds remaining for Valiant.
Indeed, they're still looking for these chances to actually successfully use these ultimates. Florida has denied them for the most part.
Yep, Fate goes and pops his ultimate there. Primal Rage trying to track down Zupa. Can't quite do it here. Florida on the payload. Now they've killed Fate. Good start. Karib kind of on his own. Dangerous place for him to be. He's going to need to use that Transcendence, but he's just getting batted around by Swoosh, who eventually does fall. So Valiant coming in with some of the kills that they need.
There's
the
two,
double from Envy on that self-destruct. And Karib with a couple finishing blows. There's another one on it to Tvik. And they may have just barely done it. We're going into overtime again, but Florida needs to get back there in a hurry.
They are going to try, though. They have the Moira. Swoosh is out first. They're trying to stagger their way under the card. Logix will be moving to the Genji. Very low, but managing to stay alive.
Not anymore. Manatin demeched as well. Zebasai hiding behind that payload, but there's only so much you can do on that Lucio. One thing you can do is be annoying, which is exactly what he is doing. Stalled out for the moment, and maybe with Swoosh coming back, maybe they've got what it takes to push Valiant off of this payload.
Another self-destruct, not going to catch anybody, and he dies before he can read back.
Well, that may be it. It's only agility.
Agilities.
Yeah, soon there on the Widowmaker, but he's not going to be able to go in on the payload and live. No, he's not. Overtime ticks away, and Florida holds it at the last second. But I gotta say, you gotta give a little bit of credit to Valiant too to push it that far with so little time in the time bank.
Well, Valiant as a team has been much better in overtime when the wick is burning.
Weirdly enough,
yeah,
that is
when
true.
they have to fully commit and their backs are against the wall, Valiant has shown us some of their best play.
Sure enough. Well, let's look at some of those late moments here.
Agility's held onto that Dragon Blade for 3 or 4 minutes, and
from downtown,
by the time he gets the opportunity to use it, it's with the Transcendence there. However, that does bait them in, so they can't find cover as the self-destruct comes in over the top.
Yep. That's right. Toss it in like a 3-point shot. I guess it was a 2-point shot that time.
Yeah, it wasn't that far.
Yep. Sometimes in Overwatch you get a 4 or 5-point shot though. So
that's what makes Overwatch better. Really.
That's right. Much better.
Poco still the king of the maximizing the points on the self-destruct.
No kidding. I'm kind of sad we didn't get to see him as much this week, but I'm sure we'll see him more in the future. On that Philly roster. That's right. So back on Dorado. Now Florida with their turn to attack here, and all they need to do is finish the map. Remember, Valiant got it most of the way, but they didn't actually finish their attack run. So there's an opportunity here for Florida to just straight up win this one.
Absolutely there is, and they're going to be switching over to the Widowmaker and Tracer on the attack. Meanwhile, Pure Dive on the side of the Los Angeles Valiant.
Interesting stat.
They'll be well prepared. Yes.
Agility spending more than half of his time on that hero, holding on to the Dragon Blade.
That was that ended up being a mistake in the long run. There is such a thing as being too patient.
Well, I do feel like that's a bit un-Agility's like too, because traditionally he's been the guy going in 1v6 and pulling the blade out.
A lot of it was he didn't waste it either, and a lot of it was Valiant were picked off towards the end of that map consistently. So every time you wanted to engage, it would be in a 5v6 situation, not exactly ideal. Tvik is not going to want to play into this. Is going to swap over actually.
Yeah,
Farah.
The Farah. All right then. Yeah, well, on the Valiant
sees
side.
the dive, so knows that he's not going to have as much pressure against the Genji Tracer, but meanwhile, the rest of the Valiant just going straight into the spawn.
Wow, that is really aggressive. I mean, they knew Tvik was going back and swapping, so they said, hey, we've got a 6v5 for a moment. We might as well go in there and get some kills and slow these guys down a bit.
Yeah, Punish and Fate, the only one who dies on the side of Los Angeles. He'll be back in plenty of time to attempt a choke point defense here. Agility's has to be careful though. Does need to dash over that wall in the end.
Yeah, a little bit of trouble scrambling up the side of that one.
Soon is hiding behind the payload right now. He's gonna pop out, Fate rejoins, and they're gonna go back in on the offensive.
That's right. Pick on the top, Fate getting taken down one more time. Envy getting close to being demeched. He gets the heals from Mercy at the end there. Dive onto the high ground coming from Florida. They've got Valiant scrambling, got him pushed back here. And to Vic, they're having a really hard time handling this Pharah, but that's not surprising when you've got a Genji Tracer for the DPS on the other side.
Yeah, Soon, though, is just sticking with the Tracer. Comes back to rejoin the frame right now. Yep. Try and bottle them up inside this corner, and that's going to work temporarily. Agility's brought back up with the help of the Valkyrie. But Unko walks straight into the barrage.
Hey, well, Karib does get the kill on Vic in the end, but the res comes through, and the important thing...
Logic, 6 HP left, winning the Tracer duel.
Yeah, is that Vic got the kill on the Mercy. So, Florida trying to get this payload moving.
Karib couldn't get the Transcendence over to Fate in time to save him.
No, not quite. And now he needs some saving. There goes Karib. Yeah, easy kill for Logix, finding that Zenyatta alone in the room.
Yeah, this will be point A eventually for the Florida Mayhem. Just a couple of stragglers left to take down Unko.
Oh, what are you doing there?
You should not have been there at all.
He's like, I can get him. I've got a pistol.
That's actually going to be pretty good for the Mayhem.
Well, being without the Mercy is going to make it impossible for Valiant to set up defensively here early on point B, and you can see Florida doing a good job right now of taking advantage of that. Although Swoosh, oh Swoosh. Oh dear, precious Swoosh. You were a little bit on your own again.
He was, but the question is, are the Valiant going to get there in time to actually stall the payload? Yes. And so, yes, the death of Swoosh is going to be impactful here on the net movement of the payload.
That's right. Oh, Swoosh.
How long is Agility's going to hold this Dragon Blade this time? Zupe, there will be a mind game with the Transcendence as to whose ability is going to come out first.
Finds the kill on the Logix from behind, but Vic uses that to take out the opposing Widowmaker. Payload not quite moving yet. Maystar moving now. Nice kill onto Fate as Tavik takes advantage of Manitin chasing the Winston back.
Yeah, Florida keeping this moving actively at the moment. They're in a good position still to take the victory here on Dorado.
Tavik's really had a lot of good shots on this Widowmaker, actually. We've seen Soon kind of have the edge in that 1v1 so far tonight, but Tavik showing up here late in the game.
Nice pick on Fate right out of the air. Agility's harassing him in the back lines, and
that's a reflect.
That's a reflect kill onto Tavik, and now the Dragon Blade going to come through.
Yeah, Transcendence used, though, on the side of Florida to try to nullify that Genji damage, and they do just that. Logix finds the kill on the Agilities. Manitin just trying to push those tanks off the payload, and they will. So Valiant not really able to get much defensive headway here, and Florida nearly done with point B already.
No, not except for getting the Transcendence used by Zupe as a trade for the Dragon Blade, but you're not actually going to stop the payload until you engage with Karib. Unko and Karib both using their support ults.
Wow, yeah, layered support ultimates for Valiant, and they still lose people regardless. So a little bit of defensive disaster here on the LA Valiant side, and Florida will get point B with a good amount of time in the time bank.
I mean, somehow, even though the support ults were used from the Valiant, the payload is still pushed in. Nobody was actually on the cart there, so zero value from the Valiant.
Well, it seemed like as those support ultimates were used, 3 other people on the team died. So you kind of had the supports keeping each other up, and you're like, well, good for us.
I mean, there were some resurrections. It was just nobody was actually communicating to stay on the payload. So a mistake made by the Valiant. And now 3 minutes remaining and a big advantage for the Mayhem.
And true enough. A lot of time in this time bank to go through point C. Unko falls again.
Tavik with 2.
Tavik's just been going wild on this Widowmaker here on Dorado. A bunch of kills. NVD mech even. And that payload will move as soon as somebody from Florida gets back on it.
Nobody's on it. They're wasting a lot of time right now.
Guys, get on the payload. There we go. There we go.
I started to roll back, but 5 seconds or so that could have been used for payload movement, and now instead everybody's respawned on the side of the Valiant.
Unko dead again. Tavik picks him twice in a row. Zupa falls. Oh, and now the kills come in onto the Florida support, so that's going to be looking okay for Valiant here. Although Florida, again, they've got time. They can lose this push and go and reset.
I don't know if I would have used the Transcendence there either if I was Karib.
Yeah.
With the enemy supports dead, you're already going to have a healing advantage and the respawn advantage, and now instead, Unko's still only at 58%, so Florida Mayhem finding themselves with another opportunity. Tvik wants to be on the Genji. Sometimes you need that Dragon Blade simply to push this point to the end. You have to get that big team wipe.
Yeah, and Unko's spent a long time building up this current Valkyrie because he's been dead for a lot of the last couple fights.
Yes, he has.
And you're not going to build on the ultimate then, really. Agility's waiting for his moment.
Tvik takes out Soon instantly. Gonna try and bait Unko. Logic standing on top of his body right now. Manitin throws a self-destruct to prevent the Mercy from getting a resurrect.
Three for Tvik and 1 for Logic as Unko falls, and Florida Mayhem has been crushing these last few fights. That payload's nearly there. They might have this one.
Yeah, they might, though. The Valkyrie's still active for them, too. Soon wants to delay this payload, but they've got to get through the Transcendence.
Florida using everything they've got to try to make this happen here. Swoosh batting back the Valiant, and now here comes Agility with the Dragon Blade. Gets one, but Swoosh there to protect people, and there to take out the enemy team. And now NV DMAC, that may be about it. No, they still get the respawns there. But as soon as Kree falls, that'll be it in Florida. Will win Dorado, so they will come away with this with at least 1 map win.
And this has been one of their best maps this season.
For
sure. I'm not surprised this is the one that they would take. Had a pretty good offense coming into this one. Tvik really showing up on the Widowmaker on the last map.
Yep, that's right. So the LA Valiant will win the series 3-1, but Florida at least getting a point with that map win. And yeah. That was that.
That is going to be
that. Was that. Pretty much. Well, more good stuff from Valiant. They had a tough schedule up to this point, and they've really proved that they're certainly one of the top teams in the league, and a team to watch out for as we start looking ahead to playoffs.
I'm really excited to see if they can actually make it to the end of the Stage 1 playoffs, and the upsets this week have given them new life.
One wonder is back to the desk to break it down right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Cities from the LA Valiant. Congratulations, your second win this week. Now, you were the heavy favorite going into this match. However, if this week showed us anything, it's that every team can beat every team. Did that kind of change your preparation going against the Mayhem?
I didn't really change it because we've always known that, like, never underestimate our opponents. We always work that way. We just don't want to go in it cocky, so we prepare the same every time. We never underestimate. All
right, that's the way to go. Now, you're now only one game back from being in the top 3 here in the league. Do you think we're going to see the Valiant in the Stage 1 playoffs?
I do think, yeah.
All right. What does the crowd think? We're going to see those guys? Well, we certainly hope so. We're going to see you guys back on the stage next week. Thank you so much for joining me for the interview. Now heading back to our analyst desk to break down the action that way around.
Thank you so much, Zoe. All right, one more time here to close out match number 2. I'm your host, Puckett, alongside Bren and Crumbs. And let's just start here talking about where we're at with the league standings. Valiant, big win today. Now jumps up from the number 6 spot, that's where they were at this morning, to the number 4. They're right behind the Spitfire, the New York XL, and the Dynasty. Bren, do you believe in Agilities and the rest of this squad? Do they have the potential to break into the top 3 at the end of their 10 games here in Stage 1?
I think you'd be daft to underestimate Valiant, to be honest. As the best Western team right now, they've shown that they're capable across the board. Crumbs is like umming and ahhing. He wants to disagree with me, but for real, here's the thing. Loads of teams have come into the match. They've underestimated Valiant, and they've come out bruised and battered at the end of it. So what's your point here, Crumbs?
Well, listen, I think that you're right to say that the Valiant is likely to finish in the playoffs, but to say that they are the best team at that pack, I think that the Philadelphia Fusion would like to have a word with the Valiant, because to me, I think that team is the one that is really being able to gun for the top based on the synergies that their BS duo have displayed.
I think Soon makes a pretty solid argument that they have the firepower to break into the top 3. You saw him going to work on the Widowmaker. Manitin and the crew tried to bring it back on the well, but overall, how did Ilios play out, fellas?
In general, it was just pretty much Valiant just dominating on a multitude of different heroes. Silkthread came in for this map number 3. We saw a bit of a sign of life, to be honest, out of Florida on the second round when it was on well. Tavik moved on to the Junkrat, and we saw actually a good sign. They took a bit of percentage away from Valiant, but unfortunately it wasn't enough because adaptations were made by Valiant. Once again, they switched to a sort of Pharah Mercy composition and ultimately just ended up coming out on top. Tavik tried to match them by switching over to Pharah. Didn't work as well as he was expecting. However, I do still feel like Tavik had a big part into why these matches were relatively close.
Crumbs, they haven't been able to really crush a control yet. What does Florida Mayhem need to focus on moving forward?
Well, I think moving forward, they'll probably be able to do a lot better at control, just adding more players to the roster. And a lot of these teams, when it comes to control, they're switching up their players. And so if you don't have your players that are specifically geared towards playing in those control maps, you're going to have a lot harder time figuring out how to manage the tempo when you switch game mode to game mode. So I think that once they add more players, they'll have a much easier time in these control points.
Really good point. I mean, you look at New York, they bring in Pine for game number 3s. You look
Agility,
at the other
Silk
squads,
Thread
Agility, Silk Thread jumping in, it all adds up. What doesn't add up for me, though, is what happened on Dorado. You won 3 games. We're expecting a 4-0 sweep after a stellar first 3 quarters. But now it's the Florida Mayhem standing strong and taking the win. Bren, you were saying it as the game was playing out. This is Florida's strength right now. If you look at all of the maps and the modes, for some reason, they're excelling on Dorado.
Yes, statistically, Dorado is the one that they seem the strongest on. I feel like it fits their kind of play style in terms of the way the map is laid out as well. Definitely benefits to Vic and Logix having a good game. Swoosh also, I mean, Monty actually made reference to this multiple times during the game. Swoosh was committing so much to shutting down both Soon and Kariv, trying to make sure they had minimal impact in this game. It's a big part of why they actually ended up winning it, because their play style on this map is so drastically different from how they play other maps.
I also think on the first push from the Mayhem, they busted out the Pharah, being able to just recognize the composition that the Valiant was running, which was Genji Tracer, and you pick a Pharah into that, you're going to be able to zoom right past the first point, start building up some steam for your second push. And I think if it wasn't for that Pharah pick on the very get-go against the Genji and the Tracer, it would have been a lot harder for the Mayhem to steamroll that last point.
Do you guys have any concerns now for the Valiant after seeing them drop 1 game in this series?
Not particularly. They still seem like the strongest team we're seeing in the Western Western sort of region, at least in terms of having Western players on their roster. Of course, they've got a few Koreans as well, but still, we'd consider them a Western-based team. And I got to say, they have shown that, you know, they can bleed in a couple of these matches, but this is just the Overwatch League. The competition is so high that it's normal for teams to drop maps against each other. You know, there's no reason why these guys wouldn't be here in the first place if that wasn't going to be the case.
All right, it's time to wake up the crowd one more time as we close out our post-game session. And of course, we can't leave the desk without crowning our player of the match. Make some noise for our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's not soon today. It's the big boy, Fate on the main tank, getting the job done.
Yeah, in general, Fate across the board really impressed us in terms of the amount of eliminations he was putting out. Tons of kills, in fact, final blows with his jump pack. This is a crucial statistic. It shows that he's really the cleanup now for Valiant. He's causing a lot of damage, a lot of destruction, and finishing up where Soon leaves a lot of these players weak and hungry. You can see in these clips here, he's really just sort of the guy who's doing a lot of the damage and doing work for his team.
It was actually about twice the amount of jump pack kills than his counterpart on Swoosh on the Florida Mayhem. And you can tell that in a lot of these tanks, we were actually having this discussion on the desk bucket, that between the Divas and the Winstons and a lot of the games that you typically have, we have the damage charts go off the roof where it comes to the damage block. Where here in professional play, it's about the damage block that really makes the difference between these two tanks. And you saw their Fate, 45,000 damage blocked, over 20,000 more than damage he dealt.
Ridiculous stuff coming in from the main tank. He is a big reason that the Valiant is resurging and currently the #4 team in the league. That's going to do it for our second match of the day. But coming up next, we saved the best for last. The Gladiators, well, they lost the crown here in LA, but they're looking to reclaim their throne against the red-hot Houston Outlaws. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.